Decoding deception, the art and science of persuasion. Ever wondered how a magician makes you believe the impossible, or how a salesperson convinces you to buy something you don't need? The answer lies in the art and science of persuasion, a fascinating field that explores how people influence each other's thoughts, feelings, and actions. In this documentary, we'll embark on a thrilling journey to decode the secrets of deception and persuasion. We'll delve into the psychology of influence, uncovering the cognitive biases and emotional triggers that make us susceptible to manipulation. We'll also explore the dark side of persuasion, examining how it can be used for nefarious purposes like propaganda and scams. But don't worry, this isn't just about how to be fooled. We'll also equip you with the tools to become a more discerning and persuasive communicator yourself. You'll learn how to identify manipulative tactics, protect yourself from being deceived, and even use ethical persuasion techniques to influence others in a positive way. Here are some of the exciting aspects of the topic that we'll explore. The psychology of lying. What are the telltale signs that someone is being dishonest? How can we learn to read facial expressions, body language, and vocal cues to detect deception? The power of language. How can words be used to manipulate our thoughts and emotions? We'll explore the art of rhetoric, propaganda, and subliminal messaging. The science of persuasion. What are the cognitive biases that make us susceptible to influence? How can we learn to overcome these biases and make more rational decisions? The dark side of persuasion. How can persuasion be used for unethical purposes, such as scamming, cult recruitment, and political manipulation? The art of ethical persuasion. How can we use persuasion techniques to influence others in a positive way, such as in negotiation, public speaking, and leadership? We'll also use real-world examples, case studies, and even magic tricks to illustrate the power of persuasion in action. By the end of this documentary, you'll have a deeper understanding of how persuasion works, how to spot deception, and how to use the power of communication to influence others in a positive way. So, buckle up and get ready to be amazed, informed, and empowered. The psychology of lying, unveiling deception through cues. Deception, the act of deliberately misleading someone, is a complex phenomenon rooted in both psychological and social factors. While there's no foolproof way to detect a lie every time, understanding the psychology behind it and learning to read certain cues can significantly improve your chances of spotting dishonesty. Why do people lie? People lie for various reasons, including self-protection, to avoid punishment, blame, or conflict; personal gain, to obtain something they desire, like money or social status; protecting others, to shield someone from harm or embarrassment; social conformity, to fit in with a group or avoid appearing different. The physiology of deception. When someone lies, their body undergoes subtle physiological changes due to the cognitive load of constructing and maintaining a false narrative. These changes can manifest in increased heart rate and blood pressure. The body's fight-or-flight response is triggered, causing physiological arousal. Sweating. The sympathetic nervous system activates, leading to perspiration. Dilated pupils. The release of adrenaline can cause pupil dilation. Changes in breathing. Respiration rate or depth may become irregular. However, it's important to remember that these physiological changes can also occur due to nervousness, anxiety, or other unrelated factors. Therefore, relying solely on them for lie detection is unreliable. Behavioral and verbal cues. While physiological changes are involuntary, some behavioral and verbal cues can be indicative of deception, but they should also be interpreted with caution. Avoidance of eye contact. Liars may avert their gaze or make fleeting eye contact to avoid scrutiny. Fidgeting and nervous movements. Excessive fidgeting, hand-to-face gestures, or lip biting can signal discomfort or an attempt to control emotions. Changes in speech patterns. Speech may become faster, slower, or have more hesitations and fillers like and Inconsistent or contradictory statements. Liars may forget details, contradict themselves, or provide vague or overly elaborate explanations. Remember, these cues are not definitive signs of lying. They can also be caused by other factors like shyness, cultural differences, or specific personality traits. It's crucial to consider the context the person's baseline behavior, and the consistency of cues before drawing conclusions. Developing your lie detection skills. Here are some tips to enhance your ability to detect deception. Establish a baseline. Observe the person's usual behavior and communication style when they're truthful to identify deviations during potential deception. Pay attention to clusters of cues. A single cue is meaningless, but a combination of incongruent behaviors and verbal inconsistencies can raise suspicion. Ask clarifying questions. Encourage elaboration and seek details to identify inconsistencies or vagueness in the narrative. Trust your gut instinct. While not foolproof, intuition honed through experience and observation can be a valuable tool. Remember, detecting deception is an art, not a science. By understanding the psychology of lying, observing behavioral and verbal cues, and approaching situations with a critical eye, you can improve your ability to discern truth from falsehood. The power of words, weaving the spell of influence. Words, those seemingly innocuous strings of letters, hold a power far greater than we often realize. They have the ability to shape our thoughts, ignite our emotions, and even guide our actions. In this section, we delve into the fascinating world of language manipulation, exploring how rhetoric, propaganda, and subliminal messaging wield their invisible influence. Rhetoric, the art of persuasion through speech. Imagine standing before a captivated audience, your words flowing like a mesmerizing melody, swaying their opinions and convictions. This is the art of rhetoric, the skillful use of language to persuade and influence. From the fiery speeches of ancient Greek orators to the polished presentations of modern-day politicians, rhetoric has been employed throughout history to sway hearts and minds. Emotional appeals. Masterful rhetoricians tap into our emotions, using evocative language to stir up excitement, fear, or empathy, making us more receptive to their message. Logical fallacies. These are cunningly disguised flaws in reasoning, cleverly presented to appear sound, leading us to accept false conclusions based on faulty logic. Word choice and framing. Language experts know that carefully chosen words and phrasing can paint vastly different pictures of the same reality, subtly influencing our perception and judgment. Propaganda, weaponizing words for mass manipulation. While rhetoric focuses on individual persuasion, propaganda takes aim at influencing entire populations. Often associated with regimes seeking control, propaganda uses various tactics to spread biased information, demonize opponents, and cultivate specific ideologies. Deception and disinformation. Fabricated stories, half-truths, and outright lies are employed to distort reality and create a desired narrative. Emotional manipulation. Similar to rhetoric, propaganda exploits our emotions using fear, anger, or patriotism to stir up support for a particular agenda. Censorship and control of information. Restricting access to opposing viewpoints and controlling the flow of information allows shaping public opinion without the challenge of diverse perspectives. Subliminal messaging, the whispers below the surface. Unlike the overt persuasion of rhetoric or the forceful manipulation of propaganda, subliminal messaging operates on a subtler level, planting suggestions directly into our subconscious minds without our conscious awareness. Embedded images and audio. Flashing images or inaudible sounds with specific messages can bypass our conscious filters and be processed directly by the subconscious, potentially influencing our choices and opinions. Repetition and priming. Repeated exposure to certain words, symbols, or even colors can unconsciously influence our perception and decision-making, even if we're not aware of it. The ethics of persuasion. Using words for good understanding. The power of language comes with the responsibility of wielding it ethically. While these techniques can be misused for manipulative purposes, they can also be harnessed for positive change. Effective communication, thoughtful arguments, and responsible messaging can promote understanding, foster empathy, and inspire action for a better world. The science of persuasion, unmasking the biases that cloud our judgments. Have you ever found yourself buying something you didn't need, agreeing with a point you wouldn't normally, or swayed by an argument that didn't logically hold water? The answer might lie in the hidden world of cognitive biases, the mental shortcuts that influence our thoughts, decisions, and actions in often predictable ways. In this section, we'll delve into the science of persuasion, unveiling these biases and empowering you to become a more mindful and discerning individual. Unconscious architects of our decisions. Cognitive biases are ingrained mental patterns that unconsciously steer our judgment, often causing us to deviate from rationality. These biases evolved in our ancestors as efficient ways to navigate a complex world, but in today's information overload era, they can be exploited by savvy persuaders. Let's explore some common biases and their persuasive influence. Availability. Bias. We judge the likelihood of an event based on how easily examples come to mind. A news story about a plane crash can make us fear flying, even though statistically, it's still one of the safest modes of transportation. Confirmation bias. We favor information that confirms our existing beliefs, ignoring or downplaying conflicting evidence. This makes us susceptible to echo chambers and biased media consumption. Anchoring bias. We rely heavily on the first piece of information presented as a reference point for subsequent judgments. A salesperson offering a high initial price, then generously discounting it, can make us feel like we're getting a good deal, even if the final price is still inflated. Bandwagon effect. We tend to conform to the beliefs and behaviors of the majority, fearing isolation or judgment for being different. This can lead to herd mentality and the spread of misinformation. Learning to outsmart our biases. While cognitive biases are deeply ingrained, understanding them is the first step to mitigating their influence. Here are some strategies to become a more mindful decision-maker. Seek diverse perspectives. Challenge your own assumptions by actively seeking out information that contradicts your current beliefs. Slow down and deliberate. Don't rush into decisions, especially when pressured or faced with limited information. Take time to evaluate the situation rationally and from multiple angles. Fact-check and verify. Don't rely solely on emotions or first impressions. Verify information with credible sources and challenge emotionally charged claims with logic and evidence. Be mindful of persuasive tactics. Recognize common persuasion techniques like scarcity, urgency, and social proof, and don't let them cloud your judgment. Embracing the power of critical thinking. By understanding cognitive biases and actively employing these strategies, we can move towards a world where critical thinking reigns supreme. This doesn't mean eliminating emotions from our decision-making. It's about acknowledging their influence and balancing them with logic and reason. We can become empowered individuals, immune to manipulative tactics, and capable of making conscious, informed choices that truly reflect our values and aspirations. The dark side of persuasion, when words become weapons. While persuasion holds immense potential for positive influence and communication, its power can be tragically misused for nefarious purposes. In this section, we delve into the dark side of persuasion, exploring how it can be weaponized for scams, cult recruitment, and political manipulation, leaving a trail of shattered lives and distorted realities in its wake. Scams, exploiting vulnerability and greed. From the slick con artist to the online phishing email, countless scams prey on human vulnerabilities and desires for quick gains or easy solutions. Persuasion tactics employed in these schemes include urgency and scarcity, creating a sense of limited time or availability to pressure victims into hasty decisions without proper evaluation. Social proof, fabricating testimonials or leveraging the illusion of widespread participation to make the scam appear legitimate and trustworthy. Authority figures, impersonating officials or experts to instill trust and obedience, exploiting victims' respect for authority. Emotional manipulation, playing on fear, greed, or sympathy to cloud judgment and exploit emotional vulnerabilities. Cult recruitment, weaving webs of control. Cults often utilize sophisticated persuasion techniques to ensnare individuals and exert undue control over their lives. Their strategies include love bombing, showering potential recruits with affection and acceptance, creating a sense of belonging and emotional dependence. Isolation, gradually separating recruits from their support network and external information sources, making them reliant on the cult for their needs. Information control, limiting access to opposing viewpoints and manipulating information to reinforce the cult's belief system. Fear-mongering, instilling fear of the outside world and portraying the cult as the only source of safety and salvation. Political manipulation, shaping opinions and controlling power. The political landscape is another battleground where persuasion is wielded with calculated precision. Techniques employed to sway public opinion and influence elections include propaganda, disseminating biased information, demonizing opponents, and playing on emotional triggers to shape public perception. Disinformation and fake news, fabricating or manipulating information to mislead the public and undermine trust in legitimate sources. Scare tactics, heightening anxieties about real or perceived threats to evoke fear and support for specific policies or candidates. Celebrity endorsements and bandwagon appeals, leveraging the influence of well-known figures or exploiting the desire to conform to sway voters' decisions. Combating the dark arts of persuasion. By recognizing these manipulative tactics and understanding the psychology behind them, we can equip ourselves to resist their influence. Here are some key steps. Develop critical thinking skills. Question information, verify sources, and avoid impulsive decisions based solely on emotions. Be mindful of persuasive language. Recognize loaded terms, emotional appeals, and logical fallacies employed to manipulate your judgment. Maintain a healthy skepticism. Don't blindly accept authority figures or claims of exclusivity. Question everything until you're satisfied with the evidence. Seek diverse perspectives. Actively engage with information and viewpoints that challenge your own beliefs to avoid falling into echo chambers. Through awareness and education, we can build resilience against manipulative persuasion and safeguard ourselves from falling prey to its dark allure. We can empower ourselves to be discerning consumers of information, engaged citizens, and advocates for ethical communication practices. The art of ethical persuasion. Wielding words for good persuasion can be a powerful tool, not just for manipulation and exploitation, but also for good. In this final section, we explore the ethical side of persuasion, delving into how we can harness its power to influence others in positive and constructive ways, be it in negotiation, public speaking, or leadership. Building trust and credibility. The foundation of ethical persuasion lies in trust and credibility. By establishing yourself as a genuine, honest, and knowledgeable individual, you pave the way for others to be receptive to your message. Here's how. Be transparent and authentic. Share your perspective openly and honestly, acknowledging any limitations or biases you may have. Demonstrate expertise and knowledge. Back your arguments with solid evidence, data, and credible sources. Focus on the audience's needs and interests. Tailor your message to resonate with their concerns and aspirations, finding common ground for collaboration. The power of positive framing and storytelling. Facts and figures are important, but stories have the power to connect with us on a deeper emotional level. Utilize compelling narratives to illustrate your points, making them relatable and memorable. Frame your message positively. Focus on the potential benefits and solutions your idea offers, rather than dwelling on negativity or fear. Engage your audience with storytelling. Craft compelling narratives that illustrate your message, using vivid imagery and relatable characters. Appeal to values and emotions. Connect with your audience on a deeper level by appealing to their shared values, hopes, and aspirations. Empathy and active listening. True persuasion isn't about dictating your view. It's about understanding and building upon the perspectives of others. Here's how to foster genuine connection. Practice active listening. Pay close attention to what others are saying, both verbally and non-verbally, demonstrating genuine interest. Acknowledge and validate their concerns. Address their objections and anxieties head-on, showing empathy and understanding. Seek common ground. Identify areas of agreement and build upon them to find mutually beneficial solutions. Ethical persuasion in action. Let's explore how these principles translate into different scenarios. Negotiation. Avoid aggressive tactics and focus on win-win solutions, collaboratively searching for a fair agreement that benefits all parties. Public speaking. Connect with your audience on an emotional level, inspire them with your vision, and present your ideas in a clear, compelling, and ethical manner. Leadership. Motivate and empower your team by fostering trust, transparency, and open communication, encouraging participation and valuing diverse perspectives. Remember, ethical persuasion is not about mind control or manipulation. It's about fostering collaboration, inspiring positive change, and empowering others to make informed decisions based on mutual respect and understanding. By harnessing the power of persuasion ethically, we can create a more collaborative, positive, and productive world. This documentary equips you with the tools and knowledge to wield words for good, empowering you to become a force for positive influence in your own sphere of influence. So, join us on this journey of transformation, and let's rewrite the narrative of persuasion, one ethical message at a time. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and support us with a like. Your encouragement motivates us to deliver valuable content. Thank you.